all face turning points in our lives. I remember when I was a teenager, when I was growing up, the very values that you are taught, the character and the belief system that you have been taught all this while in your home, those will be challenged. Because when you go to college, when you go to school, those values that you have been taught within you, that you believe, the belief system that you hold so dear to, that your parents have taught you, when you go to school, now your peer pressure is telling you otherwise. And suddenly the things that you believe is no more cool. You are now an uncool person because you don't do the things that they do. And therefore, the values that you have been taught is now challenged. And literally what is happening is that you are at a turning point. And at that turning point, remember, it either going to bring you back to the track of where you're supposed to stay, either you stick to the values that you've been taught, or it's going to take you to the next level, and that next level can be either good or bad. Because based on the decision that you make at that point, whether you're going to sway away from the values that you have been taught and do what is wrong, it will take you to disaster. Or you believe that this is the value that has been taught to me by my parents, this is the values that I believe in, this is the belief system that I am designed in, and therefore I got to stay in this thing. And if you stay, it will keep you on track where you need to go. We all face challenges. Children face turning points. That is why all the more it is more and more important in these days, particularly where you are concerned about your kids. Don't think your kids is going to grow by themselves. They don't. Those are the days when children were raised by the village. You had the luxury of your neighbors. You had the luxury of your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, your neighbors, and your relatives, all taking care of your children, where everybody had a voice to speak in your life. But today's age is different. Even in the church, parents get upset when the pastors or elders or ministers correct their children. They're like, who are you to tell my children what to do? We are living in a different times nowadays. And therefore, as parents, it is important that we take time to find out what is happening in the lives of our kids. Let me tell you, to every parent, their child is an angel. You want to find out the real status of your child? Go to the school. When was the last time you met with their teacher? When was the last time you went and talked to their other friends? Do you have the telephone numbers of their other friends that they are always talking on the phone to? Do you check the phones of your children? Every now and then, take the phone and see what kind of text is going on. What kind of conversations are happening? Where are they hanging out? When they say that they are going to school and after-school programs, what kind of after-school programs are they really in? Why am I going there? It's not in my notes. But they face turning points all their time, all the life. Every time they are facing turning points in their life. And therefore, we as parents have to be there to help them, to direct them to the right path, or you will lose them. And then they grow up, they go to college. Now, everything that they have believed and taught comes under fire. Everything. From their values to their character, everything is under fire now. They believe they are a good person. They believe they are a nice person. They believe that God has put them on this face of the earth with a purpose and a destiny in their life. And now when they go to college, everything changes. Why? Because in college, there are a lot of children, there are a lot of other peers who have no purpose in their life. And because of the fact that they don't know where they are going, the peer pressure of their aimlessness, their destiny-ness or lessness begin to affect your children. And your child who knows what they were doing, who's supposed to be on track or where they are supposed to go, suddenly one day comes home and all confused. And you're wondering what just happened. I thought you know where you were going. I thought you know exactly what you wanted to do. What just happened? And you see your child in a daze and you don't know what is going on. I was watching a movie last night. Before going to bed, there was this movie about this father who is in charge of of eradicating the drug cartel between Mexico and the United States. And he was so concerned and with his job that he didn't take time to find out what is going on in his own family. And he thought his child, who has been taught well from the beginning, will never be affected by drugs. One day, just to realize that when he got back from his work, to see that his own daughter was in the bathroom taking weed, that destroyed him. Often we get so busy with everything else that we don't take time to see what's going on in our own lives and our own children's life. And the children that you send to college, don't think that the moment they leave your house, 18, and now they are in college, good riddance, thank God they are out of my bills. Your responsibility doesn't end when they are 18. I am 47, my mom is 80. When I go home now, my mom is still my mom. She calls me every day and she asks me, how are you doing? What are you doing? How are you treating your wife? Your responsibility doesn't end just because they are out of your house into a college. Whether you are 80, whether you are 50, whether whatever age you are, and whether your son is 80 or 50, your son is always your son. Your daughter is always your daughter. You always have to have that voice where you can speak to them and bring them back. Why? Because every one of them face turning points in their life, and there has to be somebody who can speak into their life, and God uses people. God uses one another to bring that direction back and to tell you, look, you're going in the wrong way. You need to come back on track. That is why spiritual authority is important. That is why to have a senior pastor, a spiritual father is important. That is why it is important to have leadership that you are accountable to, who can tell you what is right and what is wrong. Because in your eyes, you are always right. All our lives, we face those challenges. We all go through turning points in our lives. And when you go through those turning points, you need a voice that can tell you where to turn and where to move, because if you don't, you can end up in wrong places. Let's talk about marriage. In marriage, we all face challenges. I've been married for 21 years by the grace of God, but let me tell you, that's not 21 years of all sweetness and honey. The honeymoon ended the first 2 years. As His Majesty says, now is no more honeymoon, it's moon looking for the honey. And you're thinking, Lord, what happened? You know, all that excitement of your marriage doesn't last every day. You don't love your wife every day. You don't wake up every morning admiring her beauty. If you are lying. Your wife doesn't feel the same way about how handsome and great you are. You used to have 6 packs and now it has converged into 1 pack called the belly. It's not always that you are feeling the love and the passion. It's not always. I remember a couple that I was talking to recently that's married for 19 years and they have 2 kids. And my wife and I were having dinner with them. And while we were having dinner, the wife said it just outright there. And she said, you know, honestly, I don't feel the passion anymore. I don't have the zest for marriage anymore. I don't feel the fire for my husband anymore. The husband was sitting next to her. Right there next to her. And she said, I don't feel the passion anymore. It's not there anymore. What do you do? We all go through that. It's just that we don't say it. But everybody goes through those challenges because it's not always honeymoon time. Because when reality hits you and you wake up in the morning and look at your wife, and look at your husband, you look at your spouse, and as you begin to get to know them, not just the beautiful part of which you were when you were in love and when you have all that feeling for each other, but when the days pass by and the years begin to pass by, you begin to realize the goodness and the badness, the strengths and the weaknesses. You begin to see those things, and suddenly you begin to question yourself, and you find yourselves at turning points of your marriages. How you handle those turning points will determine whether you will have a lasting marriage or not. Because if you don't turn it right, if you don't manage those turning points in your life, that's where the divorce and that's where separations begin to happen. Because you see, you must always understand that your love is going to be challenged. Your commitment is going to be challenged. Every one of them will face turning points. And it gets worse when the husband and wife joins in the same business. Now you have something else to fight about. Before you only fought about how you brought up your children. You only fought about things in the house. Why you're not washing dishes. Don't you have eyes to see? You got to the sink and you see all these things. Don't you know that you're supposed to take them and put in the dishwasher? Can't you even do that? Last night I had dinner, and after a good dinner, I was very, very tired yesterday. I was working on a project. I was just sore. My body, whole body, from top of my head to the soles of my feet was screaming with soreness. I was tired. I didn't even plan to come for prayer, but when I got back, I got convicted. The Spirit of God said, you better get your behind in prayer tonight. So I said, okay, Lord, let me go to prayer. So I told my wife, I'm going to prayer tonight. So she said, I'll come with you. So we came for prayer, and after that, we went home. I was tired. I expected my sweet, loving, beautiful wife to serve me well. After all, it's my birthday week. This I learned in the United States. In Malaysia, you spend your birthday, that's the only day you are the king in your house. That's it. After that, next day, you're served back. But here I realized you can celebrate for the whole week. Ooh, I love America. So I was excited, and of course, she was wonderful. She cooked a wonderful meal and served it on the plate and heated it up. And I was enjoying it. It was good. I ate. And then I went to put it in the dishwasher. Not the dishwasher. I was walking towards the sink. And before I could get the sink, she said, the dishwasher's right there. How many of you know I'm going to pay for this? I said, okay. You see, after 21 years, you know when to choose your battles. Some things you better not open your mouth. Just keep quiet, enjoy it, praise God. The dishwasher is ready. Yes, honey, I hear you. Put it in the dishwasher, just moved on. Your commitment, your love, your passion for one another, everything comes under a turning point. How do you manage those turning points? How do you handle arguments? How do you handle disagreements? How do you handle those professional discussions? Got to be able to handle. You know, as I'm getting older, one thing I'm learning to laugh at myself. You know, I realize, don't take life seriously. So when I get mad, I say, you know what is there to get mad about? Just laugh it out. So I laugh at myself and I keep moving on. I say, you know what, it's not worth getting mad. It's not worth getting upset. What is the reason of getting upset? So I tell myself, it's okay, Steve, take it okay. It's okay, cool. Just move on. So you need to learn to laugh at yourself. You need to handle those turning points. Because if not, you can let those little things to get in your way. I remember a long time ago, I had a very good couple that I knew back home in Malaysia. They were much senior than I am. A very nice, loving couple. Very nice, loving couple. You will never tell that they ever fight. They're always loving to each other. They're always passionate. They're always showing forth their passions to each other all the time. And one day I was in their home and visiting them, and I was asking them, I said, Uncle, how is it that both of you are so loving all the time? Don't you all ever fight? And they both laughed. Auntie was there too. They both laughed. And the auntie said something that changed my perspective of marriage forever. She said, son, let me tell you this. There are some things in life it's not worth fighting for. She said, when I first got married, I used to get so irritated with uncle coming home from work. He will put his shoes there and his socks will be on the sofa. Every time. I used to get so mad every time. We used to fight about this till no end. And finally, I realized one day, this is who he is. So what? The socks is on the sofa. That's just the way he is. So I realized either he's going to take it back and put it back, or what is it going to cost me to take that and put it back where it belongs? After all, this man is working so hard to keep the family going. And he's the one paying the bill anyway. Can't I at least do that for him? It's okay. Why should I fight about that thing? So she said, I began to realize there are certain things that I just need to not bother about anymore. And she says, similarly, there are some things that I do that drives him to no end. But he has come to accept that and say, you know what, this is who my wife is. What is the big deal about it? It's not a matter of life and death. So why make it a big fuss? It's okay, just accept it, keep moving on. And similarly, in my life, I have learned that too. And there are many things about me that drives my wife nuts. Very few things about her drive me nuts. She's really great. Woo, I'm going to pay big time for this one. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Honest truth. Before God, truth. Really, my wife is the best thing that happened in my life. And I'm not saying this as a joke. This is serious. She really is. I am who I am because of my wife. And I know she don't like me saying those things, but I just have to be honest. I'm 47. I just turned, 47. I'm getting older, so I don't care. It's the truth. She's an amazing woman of God. I appreciate her. But there's a lot of things that I am flawed with. Why? I'm a man. All the bad in the house say yeah. Yeah. But she has learned to put up with me. There are things that she used to get very upset about me. She don't really get upset about it anymore because she realized it is what it is. No big deal. Why make a big fuss about it, right? And you move on. You have to manage your turning points in life. If you don't, your commitment and everything about you comes under attack. It comes to a place of turning points, and how you handle them is really, really important. So it is crucial that we understand those things. Now, in our jobs, in our decisions, we all face crossroads all the time. Crossroads is part of our life. We all go through crossroads. Now, in the crossroads of your life, you come to a turning point because every crossroad is going to bring you to a turning point. Every crossroads. What is a crossroads? A crossroad is a turning point. It's an intersection. So you're either going to take a left turn, right turn, or you're going to go straight. It's a turning point. Whether you go straight, left, or right is still a turning point. It's a decision that you have to make which direction you're going to go. So when you come to those intersections of life, how do you manage those intersections? That's very, very important. Because if you don't manage it right, it will cause disaster for you. Because if you don't go to the right place, it will either delay your destiny on the destination where you're supposed to arrive if you made a wrong turn. Or that wrong turn can also bring you to a place of disaster where you're not supposed to go. Or the turn, if you make it right, it will take you close to the destiny and sometimes even faster than what you're supposed to. I remember a joke one time. There was this guy who was running and he came to a field. And he asked the owner, he said, sir, is it okay if I run through your field? Because I have to catch that train at 4:23. Can I run through your field, please? And the owner said, yeah, sure, help yourself. And if my bull catches you, probably you'll make that 3:10 flat train earlier. So in life, we all go through those turning points, and some turning points will bring you faster to your place, depending on what you encounter on the road. And some turning points will delay your trip. I was talking to Brother Ed earlier, and he was saying how he was traveling a few weeks back, or last week, I think, for their travels to Florida. And when they were going, it was supposed to be a 9 hours, 7, 8 hours drive, but because of the floods, they were detoured through Fayetteville. And because of that, it took them 15 hours to get there. Isn't it true that detours in life sometimes can delay your destiny? Yes. It can delay where you need to get, detours. And why is that? Because of a turning point. One turning point can get you closer to your destiny, or the wrong turning point can get you delayed from your destiny. And in some turning points can totally terminate your destiny as well. So therefore, it's very, very important that we understand how to manage turning points in our lives. What are some of the signs of turning points in our lives? Let's talk about that for a second. The first sign of a turning point in your life is frustration. Many years ago, I preached a message called The Gift of Frustration. How many of you know that frustration is a gift from God? If only you manage it right. Frustration is a gift from God. God allows our human emotion of frustration to step in when He needs to take you to the next level. or to align you back to where you were. If you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will get frustrated. God has set this internal system within us that will react to anything that is not in the path of destiny. When you're not in the path of your destiny or your purpose in life, there is an internal system, there is an internal element that automatically begins to react within you, and that's called frustration. You get frustrated with yourself. You get frustrated with the people around you. You get frustrated with your situation. It's an internal alarm system that tells you that you need to track back or you need to make a turning point right there. It's a system that God designed. So how you manage your frustration is very, very important. If you don't manage it right, it will destroy you. I know people who get frustrated in their life. They're doing something and they're getting so frustrated. Have you seen children who get very agitated doing something for long periods? They just started something in 5 minutes. They're agitated. They're thinking about something else. They don't have proper discipline to finish what they start. Have you seen adults who start one work and within a very short time frame get bored of it and want to do something else? They don't have the discipline. But at the same time, if you begin to see that you are working in something for a long time and you get to a place of frustration, it simply means that there is something that you need to align yourself back on. Or it's telling you it's time for you to make a transition into something better. Frustration can go anyway, but you need to be able to manage those things. Frustrations is one of the signs of turning points in your life. The second thing is uneasiness. You get uneasy. These are things that you used to do very easily. It came natural for you. You were able to do that at the fingertip. But now it's uneasy. You find it difficult. You're like, I'm not easy about this. Something is not right. You just get very uneasy about it all the time. It means you are at a turning point of your life. How do you manage that? In your marriage, when you get uneasy, how do you manage? You got to revisit your passion. You got to revisit your love. You got to revisit your commitment. You got to start doing some things differently. When that couple sat with us and they said that they don't have the passion, I told them, you need to redefine your marriage. You need to take time to define what your marriage is all about. And then when I talked with the husband separately and I was telling him, look, you need to really go back to your first love. You remember when you were in love with her and how you were wooing her, how you were doing the surprises, how you were doing those things to catch her by surprise, just to make her feel good. Those are the things that you need to start doing again. You need to revisit your commitment. Just because you're frustrated in your marriage doesn't mean it's time for you to walk away from it. Give a fight for your marriage before you have to leave. Amen. A lot of people just leave too simply nowadays. Just because of one simple fight or two simple fight or the same fight happening over and over again. Why is it happening over and over again? Because you are not dealing with the situation. As long as the root problem is always there, it's going to be always there. Don't leave that marriage and enter into another one, because all you're going to do is to bring this luggage into the next marriage, and there's going to be additional luggages there. So deal with the situation. Find out what is wrong. Deal with them first. Don't give up until you have exhausted all resources. Give a fight for your marriage. So I was telling this guy, you got to fight for your marriage. You got to go back to the place where you first found her, where you found love for her. Go back to that place and start working on your marriage all over again. Start doing those surprise moments. Start doing those things that will make her happy. Start doing those things that will make her feel that she loves you again. It's going to be hard though, but do it. Isn't it worth fighting for your marriage? Only you can answer that. How much is your marriage value to you? Fight for it. How much is your business value to you? How much does your job value to you? That's something that you have to decide, and you have to manage those turning points in your life. And some people say, I cannot handle this anymore. Oh, this is too much. I can't handle it. Have you heard it before? Have you said it before? Some of you saying it right now. I can't handle God where I am right now. I can't handle this anymore. It's a sign that you are at a turning point of your life. So what are you going to do about it? You got to manage it. How are you going to manage it? Wait for second service. In the second service, I'm going to talk to you from this point. I'm going to talk about how to manage your turning points. I'm going to talk about the power of the seed of destiny within you. It's going to be totally a different message in the second service. It's a continuance though, but it's going to be different. I'm going to talk about the power of partnership and the power of collaboration, the power of partnership between you and the church, the power of partnership between you and God. I'm going to talk about the power of collaboration between one another. How are we going to collaborate and partner with one another to bring about the destiny that God has for us and to walk into that purpose that God has for us? It's going to change your life. So if you can, please stay for the second service. Pastor Travis.
Praise the Lord. Amen. Come on, put your hands together.